David William Moyes is a Scottish football manager and former player who is currently without a club, having been sacked by Manchester United in April 2014, less than 10 months after taking the job as a replacement for Sir Alex Ferguson. Previously the manager of Preston North End and Everton, Moyes was the 2003, 2005 and 2009 League Managers Association Manager of the Year. He is also on the committee for the League Managers Association in an executive capacity. Moyes made over 540 league appearances as a centre-half in a playing career that began with Celtic, where he won a championship medal. He then played for Cambridge United, Bristol City, Shrewsbury Town and Dunfermline Athletic before ending his playing career with Preston North End. He became a coach at Preston, working his way up to assistant manager before eventually taking over as manager in 1998, his first managerial position. Moyes led Preston to the Division 2 title in 1999-2000 and the Division 1 playoff final the following season. Moyes became manager of Everton in March 2002 and under him the club qualified for the preliminary stages of the UEFA Champions League in 2005 and reached a 2009 FA Cup final. Upon reaching his 10th anniversary at the club, Moyes received praise from many fellow managers including Sir Alex Ferguson, Arsene Wenger and Kenny Dalglish for his achievements at Everton. His service to Everton was also praised in Parliament by Steve Rotherham MP, but during his spell at Everton, he received the nickname Dithering Dave from fans. Playing career: Moyes started his career at Icelandic club BV, playing half a season with the youth team in 1978. Moyes enjoyed a career that encompassed playing at a number of different clubs, usually as a centre-half, beginning at Celtic, where he won a championship medal and made 24 league appearances, and ending with Preston North End. As a player with Cambridge United, Moyes received abuse from teammate Roy McDonough for his religious beliefs. Moyes is a practicing Christian. McDonough felt that religion was distracting them from focusing on playing. Speaking of Moyes, Alan Comfort and Graham Daniels, he said, the three of them sat in the changing room with a little black book, discussing their faith, when they should have been getting psyched up for a relegation scrap. Following a 3-3 draw with Wigan Athletic on March 9, 1985, McDonough, who was 26 years old at the time, states that he battered 20-year-old Moyes for not putting sufficient effort into the game. While playing for Shrewsbury Town in 1987, Moyes began coaching at the nearby private school, Concord College, on the recommendation of Jake King as a way to supplement his wages. Moyes made over 550 league appearances in his career before becoming a coach at Preston, working his way up to assistant manager before eventually taking over as manager in 1998. International career: Moyes captained Scotland at U18 age group level. He played under former UEFA technical director Andy Roxburgh in 1980. Managerial career: Preston North End. Moyes took over as Preston North End manager in January 1998, replacing Gary Peters as the club struggled in Division 2 and were in danger of relegation. He had spent much of his playing career preparing for management, taking coaching badges at just 22 years of age and compiling notes on managers he had played under, their techniques and tactics. Preston avoided relegation at the end of the 1997 Euro 98 season and reached a Division 2 playoffs the following season, where they were beaten by Gillingham at the semi-final stage. The following season, Moyes guided Preston to the Division 2 title and a promotion to Division 1. An even greater achievement perhaps was to steer Preston into the Division 1 playoffs the season after that, with largely the same squad. Preston lost 3-0 to Bolton Wanderers in the 2001 Football League First Division playoff final, missing out on promotion to the Premier League. 1 month later, Moyes signed a new 5-year contract with the club. Towards the end of the following season, he left for Everton, to take over from fellow Scotsman Walter Smith in March 2002. Moyes took charge of Preston for 243 matches, of which his team won 113. Lost 63 and drew 67. Everton, 2002 Euro 2004. Moyes joined Everton on March 14, 2002 and at his unveiling press conference, declared that Everton were the people's club on Merseyside. He said, I am from a city that is not unlike Liverpool. I am joining the People's Football Club. The majority of people you meet on the street are Everton fans. It is a fantastic opportunity, something you dream about. I said yes right away as it is such a big club. His first game in charge was against Fulham at Goodison Park. Everton won the game 2-1, with David Unsworth scoring after just 30 seconds. Prior to his appointment, Everton chairman Bill Kenwright contacted Moyes and invited him to his home in London to discuss the available position at Everton. Moyes was reluctant as he was driving from Preston to Bristol on a scouting mission. He was looking at Nathan Ellington. After the game, Moyes drove from Bristol to London where he met Kenwright for an hour. After the meeting he drove back to Preston from London a 550-mile round trip. Everton managed to sustain a good run of form and avoided relegation, which was a genuine threat when he was originally appointed. Despite having a history and list of honours only surpassed in English football by Liverpool, Arsenal and Manchester United, the past decade had not been a successful time for the Toffees, with an FA Cup win in 1995 and a sixth-place finish in 1996 being about the only bright spots for the club that side of 1990. Moyes prepared for his first full season in charge at Everton by signing Chinese international Li Tai, Nigerian defender Joseph Yobo and goalkeeper Richard Wright, and released older players such as Jesper Blomqvist and David Ginola. Everton were edged out of qualification for the following season's UEFA Cup on the last day of the season by Blackburn Rovers, following a defeat to Manchester United, and finished 7th in the league. Moyes was awarded LMA Manager of the Year for the first time, to go with the Premier League Manager of the Month award for November 2002, when the Toffees had been in the Champions League places. For the 2003-04 season, Moyes signed Kevin Kilburn from Sunderland, James McFadden from Motherwell, Nigel Martyn from Leeds United and Francis Jeffers returned on loan from Arsenal. Poor results followed though, and Everton did not win a game in 2004 until February 28. A confrontation between Moyes and Duncan Ferguson at Everton's training ground was said to be symptomatic of the problems at the club. On April 12, 2003, Moyes was sent to the stands during a game against West Bromwich Albion by referee Steve Bennett for using foul and abusive language and for improper behaviour. Everton finished 17th with 39 points, the lowest total in the club's history, just avoiding relegation. 2004-2009. During the summer of 2004, despite the turmoil surrounding the club unregistered trademark's recent form, Moyes managed to bring in Tim Cahill and Marcus Bent. To this day, Cahill is considered to be one of Moyes' best signings, scoring 15 goals in his first season playing for Everton. Those who left the club were Tomas Radzinski, Tobias Linderoth, David Unsworth and, most significantly, Wayne Rooney, who joined Manchester United for a reported £25.6 a million. Later, the Daily Mail published extracts from Rooney's autobiography, claiming that Moyes had forced Rooney out of the club and then leaked the details to the press. Moyes went on to sue for libel before settling out of court when Rooney apologised and agreed to pay for damages. Moyes donated the undisclosed damages from the suit to the Everton Former Players Foundation. During the 2004-05 season, Everton went on to surpass all expectations by finishing fourth in the league and securing a place in the following season's UEFA Champions League third qualification round, Moyes again being awarded the LMA Manager of the Year award. Moyes then broke Everton's transfer record to bring in striker James Beattie in January and, as influential midfielder Thomas Graveson left, Mikel Arteta came in on loan. At the beginning of the 2005-06 season, Everton struggled again and were battling relegation. Their European campaign ended with a loss to Villarreal in the qualifying round. Moyes signed Nuno Valente, Andy van der Meijde, Simon Davis, Pacquiao Diop, and Phil Neville. Signed Matteo Ferrari on loan. And made Arteta a permanent signing. They climbed from bottom place in late October to a secure 11th place finish at the end of the season. Moyes broke the club transfer record for a second time at the start of the 2006-07 season with the £8.6 a million acquisition of Andrew Johnson. Julian Lescott was also signed from Wolverhampton Wanderers, while goalkeeper Tim Howard arrived from Manchester United on a loan deal, which was later made permanent. All of these players would prove to be successful signings, further enhancing Moyes' reputation as a team builder. Whilst Everton's league form flourished again, their record in the FA Cup under Moyes did not improve. In the third round they crashed out 4-1 to Blackburn Rovers. An improved league position of 6th was secured along with UEFA Cup football for the next season. It was the 2007-08 season that Everton displayed the most consistency and stability since Moyes arrived at the club, finally ending the cycle of alternating between the top and bottom halves of the league. In his 6th full season in charge, Moyes secured 5th place in the league and reached the semi-final of the Football League Cup as well as the last 16 of the UEFA Cup, eventually being beaten on penalties by Fiorentina. Moyes also signed 4 more players who went on to become very important players for Everton. Yakubu Ayugbini was signed for another record fee of £11.25 a million, Stephen Pienaar for £2.05 a million after an initial loan. Phil Jadieka was brought in for £4 a million, and Leighton Baines was signed for a fee that could rise to £6 a million. All of this gave Everton and its fans cause for optimism as a string of strong performances broke the pattern inconsistency which saw league finishes of 15th, 7th, 17th, 4th and 11th under Moyes. His reputation as a disciplinarian could be seen to manifest in Everton's yellow card count. They received just 27 yellow cards all season, the lowest in the league and 6 fewer than their nearest rival Liverpool. Moyes recruited Steve Round as his assistant manager for the 2008-09 season to replace Alan Irvine, who had taken over as Preston North End manager the previous winter. Everton's first new player of the season, Lars Jacobsen, was brought in 2 games into the season. This was shortly followed by the signings of Segundo Castillo and Luis Saha. On deadline day, Moyes secured the services of goalkeeper Carlo Nash on a free transfer, and Marouane Fellaini for a club record £15 a million. On September 14, Moyes was sent to the stands by referee Alan Wiley during a game against Stoke City. He was later fined £5,000 by the Football Association for improper conduct and warned about his future behaviour. At the end of the transfer window January 2009, Moyes brought in Brazilian international striker Jao on loan from Manchester City. On October 14, 2008, Moyes agreed to extend his Goodison Park stay by a further 5 years. On April 19, 2009, Moyes led his team to an FA Cup semi-final victory over Manchester United, after a penalty shootout, to reach the final for the first time since 1995. In the final, Everton were beaten 2-1 by Chelsea despite taking a lead through Luis Saha in the opening minute. 2009-2013. In the summer of 2009, Moyes sold Julian Lescott to Manchester City for £22 a million, after a saga that lasted for the entire transfer window. With the money from the Lescott sale, Moyes brought in Johnny Heitinga, Sylvain Distin and Danaya Balayaladin. He also re-signed Jao on a season-long loan and Lucas Neal on a free transfer. Moyes was named as Premier League Manager of the Month for January 2010 after 3 wins and a draw. Moyes took charge of his 600th match as a manager on February 6, 2010 in the Merseyside derby against Liverpool, which resulted in a 1-0 defeat. Everton ended the season in 8th place, failing to qualify for Europe for the first time in 4 years despite a run of only 2 defeats in their last 24 league games. On May 14, 2010, Moyes revealed he would be interested in taking up the Celtic job in the future. That job did indeed become vacant at the end of the 2009-10 season with the departure of Tony Mowbray, but Moyes did not put his name forward for the vacancy and Neil Lennon was appointed instead. In August 2010, Moyes dismissed speculation linking him with the manager's job at Aston Villa left vacant by the resignation of Martin O'Neill. In September 2010, Moyes admitted an improper conduct charge in relation to his behaviour towards referee Martin Atkinson following a 3-3 draw with Manchester United. He was fined £8,000 with his assistant also admitting to the same charge. Mr. David Moyes is probably a fine example to everybody in government of stability and making the right decisions for the long term. Andy Burnham, Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport. In January 2012, Moyes became the fourth manager, after Alex Ferguson, Arsene Wenger and Harry Redknapp, to record 150 wins in the Premier League. He celebrated his 400th Premier League game in November 2012 with a 2-1 win against Sunderland. In May 2013, following Ferguson's retirement at Manchester United and with his own contract expiring at the end of the season, Moyes informed Everton that he would leave the club to succeed Ferguson. Manchester United. On May 9, 2013, Manchester United announced that Moyes would take over the club following Alex Ferguson's retirement as manager. He signed a 6-year contract with the club, and officially took up his managerial position at United on July 1, 2013. His first unofficial game as United manager ended in defeat as Tirotep Winate scored the only goal for Singer All-Stars in Bangkok on July 13, 2013. On August 11, 2013, he won his first trophy with Manchester United with a 2-0 win over Wigan Athletic in the FA Community Shield. Less than a week later, he won his first league game in charge of the club, opening the season with a 4-1 victory against Swansea City, but after that, United suffered their worst ever start to a Premier League season, leading the start of his reign to be described as calamitous following a 4-1 defeat to Manchester City and a 2-1 home defeat to West Bromwich Albion, with several journalists stating the pressure was now on despite it being early in his reign. In December, Manchester United lost Premier League matches at home to Everton and Newcastle United in the space of 4 days, suffering back-to-back league defeats at Old Trafford for the first time since the 2001-02 season. United were 9th in the table after 15 games, 13 points behind leaders Arsenal. Moyes said that he took complete responsibility for United's defeats but said he was confident his team would improve. Moyes did however have a positive start to his first Champions League campaign with the club. United finished top of their group after winning 4 of their 6 group stage matches. On January 5, 2014, United were knocked out of the FA Cup in the third round by Swansea City, losing 2-1 to the Welsh club at Old Trafford. On January 22, they were knocked out of the Football League Cup at the semi-final stage on penalties by Sunderland. On March 29, 2014, following consecutive 0-3 home defeats against Liverpool and Manchester City, a fly-past was staged by United fans with the banner displaying "Wrong One," Moyes out in 7-foot-high lettering during a match against Aston Villa at Old Trafford. After the match, which United won 4-1, Moyes said the majority of fans had been very supportive of him. On April 9, 2014, United were knocked out at the quarter-final stage of the Champions League by Bayern Munich, losing 3-1 at the Allianz Arena and 4-2 on aggregate. On April 22, 2014, Manchester United announced that they had sacked Moyes. Moyes was in charge of United for 10 months, the third shortest managerial stint in United history and the shortest in 82 years. At the time of his sacking, United were 7th in the Premier League table, 13 points behind 4th-placed Arsenal with 4 matches remaining, ensuring United would fail to qualify for the Champions League for the first time since 1995 and finish outside of the top 3 for the first time in Premier League history. Moyes had won 5 points from a possible 24 against Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester City, and Arsenal. He was replaced by Louis van Gaal. Managerial record: as of April 22, 2014, career outside management. During the 2010 FIFA World Cup in South Africa, Moyes provided some commentary for selected matches for BBC Radio 5 Live. Moyes co-owns the racehorse Desert Cry, which was trained by Donald McCain. Personal life: Moyes has one daughter, who went to Archbishop Temple School in Preston, where he previously managed Preston North End. He also has a son called David who went to college in Preston. Moyes' father, David Sr., is a scout at Everton and previously a coach at Drumchapel Amateurs, where Moyes began his career. His full-time occupation was as a pattern maker and later a lecturer at Annisland College in North Glasgow. Moyes' mother, Joan, hailed from Portrush in Northern Ireland and worked in clothes stores in Glasgow. David's cousin, Desi Brown, is secretary of Coleraine Football Club. Moyes is a Christian and says he goes to church whenever he can. He is a supporter of the Labour Party and in 2010 backed Andy Burnham to be leader in the Labour Party leadership election. As a boy, he grew up supporting Rangers despite playing for Old Firm rivals Celtic. On May 22, 2014, Moyes was investigated by police after an alleged assault on a man in a Lancashire wine bar, but no action was taken by police. References. External links: David Moyes career stats at Soxabase, David Moyes management career stats at Soxabase, David Moyes profile at the League Managers Association, David Moyes at the Internet Movie Database, David Moyes profile at everton.com.